Hello, my name is Jack Kurt, and I'm a senior at Colorado State University, and I am studying HDFS. Um, the first question, the first question in this interview process is, how have you motivated yourself to complete an assignment or task that you did not want to do? So funny enough, this kind of applies a lot in the, COVID-19 era that we're all living in right now. Everything being online, everything being different, having to learn new things and how things work, like Canvas, for instance. I never really used it as much for uploading like text entries and stuff like that before this sort of change to online classes. You know, and how I motivated myself to get, to really focus on an assignment, for instance, like we're talking about, um, is focusing on the big picture. So relating back to like school, if I really don't want to do an assignment because it's hard or I don't just innately know how to do it, then I'll look at the big picture. Well, why am I doing this? Why is this information important? Even if it's not like directly like related to my like concentration, it's important because it adds to that knowledge base that I need to have as a professional after school. And I want to be the very best I can be at my job, and I think that's important to have that knowledge base. So that's how I would motivate myself, is looking, kind of taking a step back and looking at kind of the end game of what does this mean for me, or, the company, or like an organization, for instance. All right, the second question is, describe a goal that you set for yourself and your success in achieving it. All right, so this one's also kind of funny. I used to do Boy Scouts, so I was an Eagle Scout, and in the process of doing that, there was these kind of scout adventure camps. So the one I did was a 2 week long backpacking trip in New Mexico. And I was about 13 at the time, and I was not very in shape at all. I was not doing sports, I wasn't doing anything, so I was starting from square one in training, mind and body, to make this 2 week backpacking trip, because you're out in the middle of nowhere and you can't just quit. It's very much like the first question with you can't just not do the assignment because it matters and it means something. And this trip meant a lot to me at the time. And, you know, in the over the course of saving my money to go to this trip, which was a 2 year long period, I, you know, trained and trained and trained and, hiked all the mountains around me. I'm from California, so Sierra Nevadas, and I went with my scout troop. My scout master was actually very beneficial with this because he guided me on how growth and success doesn't happen overnight. It's something you work at and you chunk at day after day, night after night, and eventually you get to where you need to be. And I actually did, after 2 years of, preparing and doing everything that needed to be done for the trip, I successfully did it. I was able to complete the whole 2 weeks, and I wasn't even the last one in line either. So it really showed me how perseverance and just determination is what really breeds success. All right, and then the third question in this interview process is, tell me about a time when you worked with a person who did things very differently from you. How did he get the job done? Well, I mean, you can back relating it back to school, just because that is the most it connects the most to the question, I believe. So I would say a time that this happened where I interacted with someone who thought very differently from me was actually in a group project my freshman year. It was a philosophy course, and what we were supposed to do is make this long PowerPoint with all the theorists and definitions and yada yada, the works on philosophers. And I'm a very logic based guy. I'm all, like I said previously, big picture. So I'm like, okay, if we have 10 slides, and we have 5 people, then each person needs to do 2 slides, something like that. And it's like, you do this, and I'll do this. And this person was very odd in the sense that they wanted to do most of it themselves, and that was very scary at the time because that's a large portion of your grade, and four other people's grades that were giving to this guy, and it was very difficult to come to like a conclusion or like a consensus with him because no one on the team wanted one person in charge of something that would affect their grade dramatically. So how we worked with them is we, all sat down all together and kind of laid out our grievances about, maybe, if you want, you can have like 3 or 4 slides, but we're not going to give you like 6 of the 10. So we had to compromise with him and not just tell him, no, that's wrong. Because if we look at real life, you can't just point at someone and be like, hey, that's wrong. My way is right. You can't. That's not how you're going to, succeed with anyone in life. And I believe that it's all about compromise and listening to their points and why they feel the way they feel, so you can, come to a conclusion that where every party's happy. So, I mean, again, another reason why school's great for a lot of these real life kind of connections. Working with people in school is a lot like how working with people in your professional career will be like, I believe. But yeah, that's my interview. Thank you for listening.